was reading 1 Kings 13 the other day. The chapter is about a man of God from Judah who travels up to Bethel in Israel and appears before Jeroboam the king, just as he is about to make an idolatrous offering on an altar. God sent this prophet to denounce the idolatry that Jeroboam and his people were involved in. Jeroboam did not appreciate the message from the man of God, and as he went to strike this man, his hand shriveled up and he became a spectacle before his army and his people. It was then that Jeroboam realized this man was speaking truth, so he asked the prophet to pray that God would heal his hand, and as the man of God interceded for him, the hand was restored. So the king asks the man of God to come home with him so that he could reward him and give him some food. Despite the man of God being tired, hungry, and possibly poor, he refused to go with the king because God had instructed him to go home a different way and not to eat anything until he had returned home. He remained obedient to God's command, and despite the king's request, he said no, he would not go. But something happened on his return home. An old prophet hears what happened and sets out to find the man of God. This old prophet tells the man of God, "Come home and eat with me." And the man of God tells him why he can't. But this old prophet then lies and says that an angel came to him and said to bring the man of God home with him so that he could eat and drink. What is this old prophet up to? As I see it, he was a false prophet. He probably had known the way of the Lord early in life, but was now involved in idolatry too. Otherwise, he would have confronted Jeroboam. The man of God was weary. He was hungry and could not resist the suggestions of what he thought was a genuine old prophet. He trusted this man's word. And as a result, when he finally left Bethel to go home, he's killed by a lion. I know, this is a sad story, and what possible lessons can we learn? Well, my daughter, when she heard this story, said, "Don't accept candy from a stranger." Oh, I think that's good advice, especially for parents to teach their little ones early in life. So I guess I taught Tanya well. But number one, God's word does not change. God is consistent. His word will always stand the test of time. His will does not change. Psalm 33:11 says, "But the plans of the Lord stand firm forever, the purposes of his heart through all generations." He has shown us how to live, and his instructions do not change. They still stand today. Know what God has said and obey. Plain and simple. And secondly, anyone who comes along and contradicts what has been written in the Bible, anyone who contradicts what God has already shown you, is not to be trusted, no matter how tired, hungry, lonely, or depressed you may be. God will send people to confirm what he has said and not contradict what has been said. This is where the man of God went wrong. Perhaps he thought that God sent this old prophet to encourage him along his journey. Perhaps God had changed his mind. Malachi 3:6 says, "I, the Lord, do not change." Numbers 23:19, "God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should change his mind. Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill?" My advice to you today, know God's word and purpose in your heart to obey no matter what. Oh, you may be tempted along the way, but Do what God has asked you to do. If someone comes along and tries to persuade you to do otherwise, remember that God sends people who will confirm and not contradict what he has said. Ponder this today. Confirmation, not contradiction.